All right. Hello, everybody. Hope all is well for you. This is a different style of presentation. The Lord gave me this title, this trademark, if you will, called Painting with a New Paintbrush. And one of the things that I think is important as we look at this, as we really dive into this, is understanding what does it mean to really paint with a new paintbrush? What does it mean to really go deep with God? But what does it mean to really understand and realize this important principle that it is time to live, but live in a newness? In our lives, we ought to live in a newness, right? But you will never experience new if you're still looking at old. You will never experience new if you're still focused on what has already been. This is something that hurts, whether it's us, whether it's us as pastors, whether it's people in business, whatever situation or whatever avenue you are in. You have to understand when we talk about painting with a new paintbrush, this is something that is on you personally for you to take the necessary steps in order to paint this new picture. In other words, aren't you tired of looking at the same picture? Aren't you tired of being focused on the same picture? Aren't you tired of dealing with the same picture? But it is on you now to make some steps, to do some things differently, to operate in something new. But you have to be willing, you have to be able, and you have to want to paint with a new paintbrush. Listen, we have all painted some great pictures throughout our lives. The life you are living right now, God has allowed you to paint some awesome pictures. God has allowed you to do some awesome things. But now it is time for you to take the next step, whether that's taking the next step in your leadership qualities, whether that's taking the next step in your own health, whether that is taking the next step and making some changes, some personal changes just for you, in order for you to really understand and in order for you to really have this maturity and this principle, you have to be willing to paint with a new paintbrush. What are you willing to do to be free? What are you willing to do to change? What are you willing to do to grow? What are you willing to do to get to another level as it relates to your life, as it relates to your happiness, as it relates to your spirit? What are you willing to do, and what time are you willing to put into it in order to do something new? We've done so many other things, but isn't it time for you to do something new? Isn't it time for you to do something different? Isn't it time for you to do something that you have not necessarily done before? Isn't it time for you to grow? Isn't it time for you to mature? Isn't it time for you to stop always relying and doing the same things over and over again? What do you need to paint over? What do you need to let go of in order to have real success and real joy and real happiness? Because all of us have some things that we have to stop always looking at. As we think about this life that we live, we all deal with transitions in life. You are going to face transitions in life. But even though you face transitions in life, that is when it is on you yourself to not be discouraged by some transitions, because some transitions have to happen in order for you to really be free. You'll never be free if you don't make some transitions. You'll never be free if you're still holding on to some things that are keeping you down, that are making you discouraged, that are making you sad, that are making you miserable. What are some things that you have to transition from? What is the picture that you now need to paint in order for you to transition? I think all of us stand in the need of a transition. I think all of us stand in need of the ability to transition, but it is on us ourselves in order for us to make these transitions, to make this. Now, God gives you the brush and the paint, but what are you going to do with it? As we continue to dive into this, that is something that we all have to ask ourselves. What am I going to do now? It's like this. I ask God for transitions. I ask God for changes. I ask God to help me get through this. I want to get through this. I have spoken it out loud. I'm ready for something new. Okay, just because you say it does not necessarily mean you are ready for it, or does not necessarily mean you're willing to take the steps to do it. I can say anything. You can say anything, but what are you willing to do to put those necessary steps into practice? Now it's time for you to start painting that new picture. Listen, some stuff that has happened in your past, it is in your past. You got to paint a new picture. Some stuff that has taken you down, you got to get up and say, you know what, I'm painting a new picture. I'm not going to continue to allow this to affect me. I'm not going to allow this to continue to control my mind, control my emotions, control my thoughts, control the way I am, control the way I live. No, I refuse to allow this to continue to control me. But now I say I am getting up from here. What do you need to get up from? What is hurting you that you won't let go of? What is stopping you that you won't let go of yourself? You have to ask those questions to yourself. What is stopping me? What is keeping me like this? What is making me like this? And how can I get better? But not only how can I, do I want to get better? Because you got to stop making the excuses of why you can't get better. You can get better if you choose to. That is one thing that we as followers of Christ, but just in life in general, we have to get to the place where we decide, and where we get to the place where we understand there are things that I have to do myself. I can't depend on everybody else. Some stuff I have to do myself. What do you need to do yourself in order to get better, right? But it's on you to start painting this new picture. What does the new picture look like? That's a great question, because we're talking about painting with a new paintbrush. We're talking about painting a new picture. But now think about this. God gives you your own blank page, like your own blank portrait. He gives you a brush and he gives you paint, and he says, paint. What picture would you paint of a new life? What is motivating you? Don't let revenge motivate you. Don't let getting even with people motivate you. Don't let envy motivate you. But what are you willing to paint in order to have something new, in order to have something better? And just in order to be better, what do you want? What do you want your life to really be? What do you want your life to mean? Not, and this is the thing. Not meaning to everybody else. What do you want your life to mean to just you yourself? What do you want your life to mean to you? Do you care enough about your life to where you now have said, I refuse to be like this anymore. I'm tired of feeling like this. I'm tired of feeling like this. I'm tired of feeling despondent, or I'm just tired of feeling groggy. I'm tired of feeling low. I'm tired of feeling down. I'm tired of feeling unhappy. I'm tired of just feeling like I can't go forward. I can't get better. Yes, you can, but when are you going to start making the necessary moves and changes? If some stuff is not working in your life, it's time for a new picture. If some people are not working in your life, it's time for a new picture. You are not obligated to make to have people in your life who are not helping you grow. You are not obligated to have people in your life that you know are not part of the purpose, that are not part of your picture, and that are not part of the plan in order to help you. You need people who will push you for greatness instead of keeping you at subpar. What do you need to do? Where do you need to go? Who do you need to let go of? What do you need to release in order to grow? In order to make steps, in order to make improvements, what do you need to change? Once again, you got a full page now. You got all the paint, but what is going to be new about you? Are you going to change the way you talk? Are you going to change the way you operate? Are you going to change the way you think? What are you ready to change? All of us have to get to that place where we say, you know what, it's something about me that I want to change. In order for me to be a better leader in my business, what do I need to change? In order for me to be a better leader as a head coach, what do I need to change? In order for me to be a better leader, whether I am a manager at Target, whether you are a manager at a fast food restaurant, whether you are a manager at an Office Depot, whether you are a manager at a Starbucks, it still comes to the fact that you are the one that can start making the changes that make the rest of everybody and the company be better. But you got to get to yourself. You got to look in you and say, okay, it's something that I need to change. It's something that I need to do. It's something that I'm not doing that is making me and that's making us lackadaisical. What do you need to change to have a better picture? You who operate in business, you who are parents, you who operate in these things, as a parent, what do you need to change and have a better picture? What steps do you need to? If you don't like the way some things are going on in your home, okay, what are you willing to do to paint something different? Listen, don't take out on your kids what a parent didn't do for you. If you didn't have a parent that wasn't there for you, that is a tragedy. That is sad, but don't take it out on your kids now. Because if you pass that down to them, they'll be resentful to you. So all it becomes is resent after resent after resent. It's time even for you to start painting a new picture. Yeah, you may have been hurt. Yes, you have been broken. Yes, you have been wounded. But when are you going to start? When are you going to stop using that as a crutch? You got to start painting something new. You got to start doing something new. You got to start doing something different to have different and better results. This is, like I said, you make sure you tune into this because there's steps we have to walk in order to paint a new picture. We got this new paintbrush. We have no limits. If you want a great life, don't limit yourself. Limits make us fearful. Limits make us afraid. Limits make us have anxiety. Limits make us push back. Limits make us draw back. Stop putting limits on you, and you can do more. And you know, if you want to do more, the only reason sometimes we put limits on ourselves is because we don't believe in ourselves. It's time for you to believe in yourself. It's time for you to stop being so scared, stop being so passive, but it's time for you to believe in yourself. Stop putting the limits on you, but start believing in you. You got to believe in you. Why are you not believing in you? Why are you putting these limits on you? Stop putting limits on you. You are responsible for your life. You are responsible for the road you take because you're the one that's taking the road. But you got to stop putting all of these limits on you, man. Woman, stop, child, stop putting limits on you, but paint the picture that you can look back one day and say, I'm glad that this is what I did. I'm glad I did this. I'm glad I was my own person. I'm glad I did not allow anybody to control my art. Because all of us are artists. But what kind of picture you gonna paint? What kind of picture do you want to paint? What kind of picture do you see yourself painting? What kind of life do you see yourself? And this is the other side of it as we get ready to shut this down. You'll never be able. Now understand this real. You'll never be able to reach the skies if you are afraid to fly. You can't reach what you're not willing to fly and go get. Things are not going to be always handed to you. There's some things you got to go get. So what are you willing to go get? Why are you afraid? You got to go get it. You have to go get it. All of us have to go get it. We just can't just be like I said, we just can't just be passive. You got to go get it. What are you willing to go get? What are you willing to invest in to improve you? What are you willing to leave alone to improve you? You got to go get it. I think that's just real. I think that's true. I think that's the crux of it. There are just things we got to go get. So what are you willing to go get? What are you willing to go get? But you got to be willing to paint a new picture. You got to be willing to do some things differently. You have to examine what has worked for you and what hasn't worked for you, and stop always operating in the things that don't work when you have things that do work. Stop always operating in the dysfunction. Stop always operating in stuff that doesn't work. But you got to be willing to go get it, and you got to be willing to do something different. That's all I'm telling you. It's time to paint a new paintbrush. You ready to join the journey? Let's paint a new paintbrush together.